One man, three inventions, and millions of deaths that followed. He wasn't a killer, not in the usual sense. He was a scientist, a man who believed he was making life better. But what he created would poison the air we breathe, lower the intelligence of entire generations, and even destroy a piece of the sky itself. His name was Thomas Midgley Jr., and this is the story of how one man's genius nearly doomed humanity, and how he was eventually killed by his own invention. It all started during the Second World War. A young chemist named Claire Patterson had joined the top-secret Manhattan Project, helping build the first atomic bombs. His job was to separate uranium isotopes, a task that required machines of incredible precision called mass spectrometers. After the war, Patterson returned to university, hoping to use that technology for something peaceful. His goal sounded simple enough: find out how old the Earth really is. He studied ancient zircon crystals which should have been pure and untouched by contamination. But every test came back wrong. There was something strange in his samples, way too much lead, far more than nature could produce. No matter how clean his lab was, the numbers made no sense. Patterson didn't know it yet, but the answer to his mystery was hiding in the story of another man, Thomas Midgley Jr. Decades earlier, in 1908, a woman's car stalled on a bridge in Detroit. A passerby tried to help her restart it by turning the handcrank. The engine roared to life too fast. The crank handle spun around and smashed into his face. He died instantly. His name was Byron Carter, and he was a friend of Henry Leland, the founder of Cadillac. Leland was devastated and swore no one should ever die from starting a car. He hired Charles Kettering, an inventor, to create the first self-starting engine. The result was the Cadillac Model 30, powerful, fast, and revolutionary. But there was a problem. The new engine knocked violently, producing uneven explosions that made it roar like thunder and damaged its parts. Kettering needed a miracle fuel additive to silence the knock and save his invention. That's when he turned to a 27-year-old engineer named Thomas Midgley Jr. Midgley began testing everything he could find: butter, alcohol, even chemicals that stank so badly he had to sleep in his basement for months. Then, in December 1921, he discovered something extraordinary: tetrathiol lead. Just a tiny drop of it could stop knocking completely. It was cheap, efficient, and easy to make. It was perfect, or so he thought. Midgley called his boss and shouted, "Do you realize how much money we're going to make?" They named the additive ethyl, hiding the word lid to make it sound harmless. General Motors, DuPont, and Standard Oil joined forces to mass produce it. Car engines became smoother than ever, and profits exploded. But at the factories, workers began collapsing, hallucinating, and dying. 5 were dead within 2 months. To calm the panic, Midgley staged a press conference. He poured the chemical on his hands, inhaled its vapors, and smiled for the cameras, saying it was safe. What no one knew was that he had just returned from months in Florida, recovering from lead poisoning himself. Lead doesn't leave the body. It hides in your bones and brain, slowly destroying you from within. It mimics calcium, damages nerves, and rewires the brain. And yet, Midgley's creation would soon be in every car on Earth. By the 1950s, billions of people were inhaling the invisible dust of his discovery. Meanwhile, Claire Patterson was still chasing his mystery. No matter how carefully he worked, his samples were always contaminated by lead. Convinced the entire world was polluted, he built a completely sealed laboratory, the first clean room in history. Inside it, he finally measured the true age of the Earth, 4.55 billion years. But when he tested the air and oceans, he made a terrifying discovery. The oceans had 10 times more lead near the surface than in the deep, proof that the pollution was new and man-made. He then drilled deep into ice in Greenland and Antarctica. Each frozen layer recorded the atmosphere of the past. The results were chilling. Lead levels spiked during the Roman Empire, dropped during the Black Death, and then skyrocketed again in the 20th century, the exact moment Midgley's fuel hit the world. Patterson compared the bones of ancient mummies to those of modern humans. The difference was shocking. People today had 1,000 times more lead in their bodies. Even small amounts caused brain damage, lower IQs, and aggressive behavior in children. Studies later showed that Americans born before 1980 lost a combined 800 million IQ points because of lead exposure. Humanity had literally become less intelligent because of one invention, and there was another horrifying connection. As the generation of lead-poisoned children grew up, violent crime rates surged worldwide. When lead was finally banned, crime mysteriously dropped again, almost exactly 20 years later. Scientists now believe lead exposure played a major role in that global wave of violence. But the true death toll was even worse. Lead exposure hardened arteries, triggered heart disease, and killed silently. Researchers estimate that leaded gasoline has caused up to 100 million deaths globally. All because one man wanted to make cars run smoother. Yet Midgley still wasn't finished changing the world. After his success with gasoline, General Motors gave him a new challenge: to make refrigerators safer. The gases used at the time were either flammable or deadly. In 1928, Midgley created a new compound called Freon, a chlorofluorocarbon, or CFC. It was non-flammable, non-toxic, and perfect for cooling. To prove its safety, he inhaled a lungful of the gas on stage and blew out a candle. It seemed like another miracle, until decades later, scientists discovered CFCs were destroying the ozone layer, the shield that protects life from the sun's deadly ultraviolet rays. The world's sky was literally burning away. John McNeill, a historian, once wrote, "Midgley had more impact on the atmosphere than any other single organism in Earth as history. He had poisoned the ground below and torn holes in the sky above." By the 1940s, Midgley's own body was failing. He contracted polio and became partially paralyzed. Always the inventor, he built an elaborate system of pulleys to lift himself from bed. But on November 2nd, 1944, that invention betrayed him. He became entangled in the ropes and was strangled to death. The man who had tried to make life easier died by his own machine. Meanwhile, Claire Patterson refused to give up his fight against lead. He faced endless pressure from corporations trying to silence him, but he kept pushing until the truth became undeniable. By 1986, Japan banned leaded gasoline. Other nations followed. And in 2021, the last country on Earth, Algeria, finally ended its use. The United Nations estimates that this single action now saves more than 1 million lives every year. Thomas Midgley Jr. never intended to harm anyone. He wanted progress, cleaner engines, safer homes, a better world. But his inventions proved that even good intentions can unleash unimaginable destruction. He gave humanity power, comfort, and convenience. And in return, he took our health, our intelligence, and our sky. Sometimes the most dangerous people aren't the ones who want to destroy the world. They are the ones who just want to improve it. And in trying to make life easier, Thomas Midgley Jr. made it infinitely harder for all of us.